After my personal struggle with food left me sick and suicidal, I was struck with the realization that food alone can't fix us. So I set out to discover what could, and what I found changed everything. After coaching thousands of clients and interviewing the world's leading experts, I realized it was time to start a bigger conversation. What are you really hungry for?
It's great.
Ooh, good one.
What am I really hungry for?
I love that question.
It's time to discover what you're really hungry for. This episode is brought to you by the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. ITN offers the first and only personalized nutrition certification program that's backed by science and proven to get clients actual results and coaches actual income. If you're ready to be proud of what you do, feel like you matter, make a difference in someone's life, and actually get paid for it, then visit transformationalnutrition.com to take your first class toward your certification for free. There aren't many opportunities these days to find silence. There's noise everywhere. We blast the radio when we're driving to work. We have the television on constantly for company if we're alone. And we go out of our way to avoid being alone with ourselves for fear of what might come up or what might happen in those silent moments between our thoughts. Your life is fast-paced. You feel like you're in the grip of constant pressure to be there for others, to get things done, to take care of your children, to work on your attitude, to work out more, to move faster, and essentially to do more. The go, go, go in your life leaves you feeling anxious, confused, and sometimes angry. After a while, you begin to realize that you can't even hear yourself think, that you don't know who you are or why your life turned out the way it has. You stop noticing all of those things in your life that made you unhappy years ago because you drowned it out with the busy noise of living a life that's constantly in a state of action, in a state of doing, in a constant state of doing it now. And it's time to come back to yourself and discover what you really need, to get in touch with what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy so that you can shift your life toward what you really crave. Have you ever met someone who just constantly has to be occupied, who always has to be doing something else, meeting up with someone, watching a popular video on Facebook, listening to a podcast, whatever the case is, but they're so busy that they don't even know what to do with themselves? Those people who are so busy doing that they can't seem to make time to just be, well, these people are running away from themselves. Because in the silence is where our true self is revealed. When we get quiet, we really get to know who we are, how we think, and what we feel about life. But something more interesting happens when people get quiet. The truth starts to dawn. Once the fear calms down, there's often a quiet voice beneath it that provides information that we need to live the life that we desire. It either provides us with solid guidance and support, or shows us the ways that we've been betraying our true path. When people get quiet, they begin to tune in to their own internal wisdom. The silence that they experience creates a space that's filled with their own intuition, their own best advice, and it can often be better than traditional therapy. Now, I know this can feel very scary at first. We're so used to drowning out our inner thoughts with external noise. We use our go, go, go lifestyles as a way to run from ourselves and from our truth. So get comfortable being uncomfortable. Embrace your fear. Allow yourself time and space to be still and to think freely without judgment. Let your intuition guide you and open up to whatever inner wisdom or self-talk you need to hear. My guest today, Elaine Glass, is the queen of quiet. She believes that silence has a lot to say, and today she's here to help you discover how to listen. Elaine, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You are starting a conversation, or maybe a lack of a conversation, I don't know, that I feel like is really important. And no one's really talking about this. We're talking about a lot of things, but we're not talking about being quiet. Why is being quiet so important? Like, what's your personal connection to just getting quiet?
Society is so loud these days, and we cannot hear our true soul's voice. And people are searching for their purpose.
Yeah.
And they're looking outside of themselves for the answers when we really have all the answers within us. And so in order for us to find those answers, we have to get quiet. We have to make sure that the noises around us settle, our mind settles, the environment noises settle. Everywhere we go, there's music. There's music piping in at the mall. There's music piping in at restaurants. And you can't really have a beautiful, nourishing meal without loud music playing. So you can't even really taste your food in a peaceful way and really feel what the food tastes like and feels like as you're eating it, because you're so distracted by noise and conversation. And so when I say get quiet, it means not only our environment, but our minds. And stop talking.
Stop talking. Like right now? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, I think that's important. And I'm really sensitive to that. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. We'll go out to restaurants and I just get overwhelmed, Elaine. My senses, I'm very sensitive anyway, as I said, and I feel things very deeply.
Yes.
And the noise, the music, and I hate yelling over it to have a conversation with someone, but you're right. I can't even focus on my food because it's so loud, and then everyone is speaking very loudly to compensate for the music and then all the kitchen noise and all of those things. It's exhausting, to be really honest with you. Like, I'll come home from dinner and be so tired.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I was a dental hygienist for 30 years. And the main thing that I learned with hearing people's stories, listening to people, voice how their lives were they were either suffering or they had illnesses or they weren't clear about their life path. What I learned in those 30 years was that I just wanted people to get quiet for themselves.
Yeah.
And I really feel like if we just get quiet, we will know our life path. We will become healthier because we'll have a purpose. I was a single mom, raising 2 kids by myself, had a great salary, but there was something inside of me saying, this is not your life's purpose. But I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
That scared me.
Things have to change.
Things have to
right?
change.
Yeah.
I might have to, work harder.
Yeah.
I might have to own something about myself that I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I listened. And when God was guided to a labyrinth, didn't know why, started walking in the labyrinth every day right by my house, got to the center of the labyrinth and clearly heard, you have so much more to give to this world. I didn't want to hear that, but it was very loud and clear.
Yeah.
Walked out of the labyrinth, went back the next day. Did that for a year.
A year.
A year.
Did you hear the same
day.
thing?
It was messages from my soul, different every time, but they were consistent. There's something more for you. So I listened to that. I didn't want to, but I'm glad I did. And that's why we're sitting here.
People don't want to hear what you just said, first of all. And they certainly don't always want to hear those thoughts. They don't want to hear what their soul has to say. It's why we have the music in the restaurants, right?
Exactly.
It's a very scary thing. Why do you think people are so afraid to get quiet, to just hear our own soul speak?
We set our lives up based upon what others want for us.
Yes.
What society feels we should be doing. And we miss being able to cultivate what it is that our souls want us to do for us. Do Do you know how a lobster grows?
I do not know how a lobster grows.
A lobster intuitively knows that in order for it to grow, it has to go under a rock by itself in quiet and shed its shell and then come back out, and it's grown.
Wow.
And so it's the same thing with people. We need to go under our rock,
Yeah.
which is our quiet, and really look within to hear the voice that I'm talking about.
Where do you get the courage to do that?
It's a gnawing. It's a gnawing within us. It displays as anxiety. It displays as poor decisions.
Interesting.
So after you've done enough of that, the courage really is very easy to find because you don't want anxiety anymore.
Right.
You want inner peace. You want inner clarity. You want inner focus. And so you're almost forced to, at a certain point, really listen to that voice.
The statistics for people who have anxiety, which leads to depression and all of these other things, they're staggering. So you're saying if we can get quiet, we can relieve that?
Quiet is our natural state.
What do you mean by that?
We were born to access this quiet within us. We can access it any time. What happens is thoughts that surface at the top of like an ocean, constantly thinking. That's not a place of quiet. That's not a place of peace. But it's what surrounds us in our environment all the time of what we should be thinking, what we should be doing. But everything below that ocean at the surface is our natural state. And that's where we will find inner peace, inspiration, happiness, joy. It's all there.
Yeah.
But it's all in the quiet.
How do we get quiet?
It's funny because you wouldn't think that I would, but I would love rock concerts. I love to laugh.
I know that about you. When you first told me that, I was shocked. Like you mentioned this heavy metal band that you liked, and I was like, who are you? Like, are you joking? Because I would never have guessed that about you. And I've known you for several months. I would never. Actually, maybe longer than that. But yeah.
People think I'm, sitting cross-legged with, in a meditation pose all day long. And that's not what it is, because I love life. I love, like I said, concerts and conversation and laughter and everything that is life.
Yes.
But I'm aware and present to know that I've got to go back to a quiet state throughout my day to really access me and what it is I'm feeling in that day. Like if you wanted to eat healthy, you would manage what you had in your refrigerator and you would prepare. So if I know a day ahead that it's going to be busier than normal, I'll make certain that in the morning, and it doesn't take a lot of time. If we really think about the time that we do pause and just breathe, sometimes it's just a minute of that. And a minute at first will seem like a lifetime.
Is that enough? A minute?
A minute is perfect.
Really?
It's just taking those moments where maybe you begin to feel anxious and finding a quiet place at work. I used to at work not sit and eat, with the rest of the staff. And what I would do is I would take my lunch and maybe go in my car or go sit outside, go take a walk by myself.
Yeah.
And it's those times to just recharge and not be constantly filled with conversation and the need to converse.
Yeah. Did you ever think that or worry about what other people thought?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they would say, "Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I would say, "I am perfectly fine." Well, then they would see how great I was when I returned.
Yeah.
So they actually began to do the same.
Really?
Yes.
Is getting quiet, I mean, you mentioned like taking your lunch to the car. I think it's a very simple way we can get quiet. What other things do you do? And what about things where we are in busy, hectic, crazy situations and we need that moment of quiet? How do we get it? Like, what are some practical tips that we can use that don't take, hours?
First, it's really the awareness of your environment. So if there's small children running around the house, if there's music, if there's anything that's just blocking the quiet for you environmentally, be aware of those things and adjust them accordingly. I remember going into a small closet when I had small children and literally like closing the door and knowing that was my time and that was my space. And also letting the children know too that it's okay for them to be quiet. Because I think it's very important for children to learn this exact concept.
Of getting quiet.
I love that. I love paddleboarding. I love walking.
That's great.
I love hiking. So there's so many things environmentally that you can search out in your own community.
You mentioned something earlier which I thought was really interesting. You said, we're born quiet. This is in our nature. If that's true, why don't we do it naturally? Why do we turn on the TVs and the radios and go to the loud restaurants? Clearly, this is a choice. Why?
I believe all those things are instant gratification for us. They're fillers. They're distractions.
Interesting. Distractions from what?
From our life's purpose and our life's work. Our truth. Because it's not easy to live our truth. I was telling you back to the labyrinth, I heard things that I needed to be doing that I didn't want to hear. Things that I remember hearing, you have an energy about you, so maybe look into Reiki. I didn't even know what Reiki really was, and I thought, oh gosh, that's really woo-woo. That's not me. But I followed that curiosity, and I did become a Reiki master, and the success I've had to help people heal through energy work, I just, like I said, it was unimaginable. I thought, why isn't this, inner voice telling me to be, a teacher or a gardener or something that was, not so
Reiki.
crazy to me? It would be a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I listened to it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just not easy to hear.
I think that's a big deal for people because, again, what will people think? What will our family say? How will this affect my income, my way of living? Again, that takes such courage to get quiet. I get why we drowned it out with I get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, to become a coach, I thought, I know that I am sitting with people and really listening to people in my dental chair, and they trust me, and I hold space for them, and I understand the human condition. So become a coach, Elaine. Are you kidding? I'm just really happy right now in my dental room, one-on-one with people.
Yes.
But I just did it. I went to and got my coaching certification, and now have a wonderful, busy coaching business. What I learned, again, in all the years of that life class I call a dental hygiene room, was that people weren't, including myself, living our truth. And that was the cause of all the heart diseases and surgeries I saw people had and medications that people were on.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, what is it that you really want to do? I've asked this question thousands of times to people.
Yes.
Because I was just searching for myself for some answers. And they would say something completely different from what they were actually doing in business. And I thought, oh my goodness, they're an accountant really wanting to save dolphins.
Why aren't you saving the dolphins?
Why aren't you saving the dolphins?
Yeah.
And it's just, they lit up when they talked about saving the dolphins. They just lit up.
Wow.
And then when they talked about, their accounting job, it was just, their whole face changed. And I thought, is that me? And when I talk about dental hygiene, am I just this?
Yeah.
But do I light up when I talk about helping people and making a difference in people's lives?
Yes.
Heck yeah.
It's interesting how those people were a mirror for you to help you see your own truth and accept that.
Yes.
How beautiful.
Yeah. So I didn't want to not follow my purpose, because I saw so many people not following theirs. And I just said, that's not going to be me. So when you talk about courage, it's more just that I did not want to be thousands of people that I actually, saw every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Just wasn't going to be me. I didn't want to have a monotonous life.
So the name of the show is What You're Really Hungry For. And I ask every guest that comes on this question. So Elaine, what are you really hungry for?
I am really hungry for the truth. I'm really hungry for the answers, my own answers, every day. And not to look outside of myself for those answers. I'm always searching within to find answers and truth for me.
Beautifully said. That's so powerful. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us permission, maybe above everything else that you've talked about. You've given us great tips on how to do it, why we should do it. The anxiety alone, stop. I mean, that shifted something in me so deeply. Truly, it really did. What an amazing opportunity, not just for me, but for so many people. So thank you for helping us to see that. And again, giving us permission to get quiet and giving others permission, I think that's really, really beautiful. So thanks for the work that you do. Thank you for being you.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
This week is all about embracing your own internal wisdom through getting quiet. We discussed how our culture is obsessed with busyness and how this has removed us from one of the most incredible resources that we have, silence. So I invite you to choose one of Elaine's tips that she discussed during our show and start implementing it in your life today. What one step can you take to start getting really quiet, to tune in to your own internal voice, to slow down and really listen? As always, the conversation continues at CynthiaPasquella.com. Head on over and leave a comment below this video telling me the one thing that you will do to start getting quiet today. Did you like this video? If so, please subscribe and then share it with your friends. And if you want to hear more from me, including things that I only share in email, then head on over to CynthiaPasquella.com and sign up for my email newsletter so you can become a part of this beautiful community of women who are discovering what they're really hungry for. On next week's episode of What You're Really Hungry For.
When I got diagnosed, I almost shifted my thinking and I started to really, I was very calculated. I studied it. I was like, what's happening in my body? And I became like overly in tune with everything that was happening in my body. And I was told from day one that I would be on medication for the rest of my life.
The Institute of Transformational Nutrition offers the first and only personalized nutrition certification program that's backed by science and proven to get clients actual results and coaches actual income. If you're ready to be proud of what you do, feel like you matter, make a difference in someone's life, and actually get paid for it, then visit transformationalnutrition.com to take your first class toward your certification for free.